Okay,
Okay.
then turning to open session, I'd like to welcome our good friends from Northern Regional Council, our Chair Jeff Crawford, Councillor John Blackwell, Councillor Jack Raw, and staff Don McKenzie. Is that Don hiding there? Yeah, Don, welcome. Group Manager Biosecurity, and Nikki, is it? Fitzgibbon, Biosecurity Manager, and we've also got up there our KDC, Dennis McCarthy. She'll introduce this item. Okay, thank you very much.
I just want to give a bit of context to the process around here. So usually what happens when there's an item related to Tāwhiroa domain, the item goes through the Tāwhiroa Domain Committee first, who provide a recommendation to Council. This specific item, Gold Clam, has gone through the Tāwhiroa Domain Committee many times, and also the Tāwhiroa Operational Group many times, and they're very supportive of the direction that Northern Regional Council are in, and Northern Regional Council have asked to speak directly to elected members on this item. So that's why it hasn't gone through that normal process, and it's come directly to you. So I'll hand over to the team today.
Right, so I think I'm starting off. Thank you.
Welcome, John. Yep.
So we're here today about Gold Clam. I'm the Northern Regional Council, which does not include me or just got a long history of life. My grandparents were buried at Hakaru, parents at Matakoe. We've farmed here for over 100 years. And today, knowing the problem facing us with Gold Clam, we're here to work with you and try and get you on board, hopefully think the way we do. We think it's a serious enough problem that we spend 1% of Northern Regional Council's rates on it, so that's what we think about it. And it's also, once it arrives here, we'll never get rid of it. My association with the lakes, I've done a lot of work with Kai Iwi Lakes over the decade with Northern Regional Council, and there are a lot of lakes that we have. I'm hoping that by working with you today, we can come out with an outcome that we'd love to see voting closed. We've got a PowerPoint, maybe we should try and get that through and questions after that, and hope it's on. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou. So I'll run through the PowerPoint. It's I guess, the intention of the PowerPoint is to go over some of the technical details and some of the background to give everybody hopefully the same understanding of what our council and those out there have, and then there'll be an opportunity to answer any questions or clarify any points or ask, and the councillors are here to support us in terms of the council decision, and I can answer any technical questions that may arise. I've lost my mouse. So the idea of the workshop and coming here to speak to you today is that we wish to work together as a collective on this issue. I think we all know that when we work collective, combine on any of these things, I think we get a much stronger outcome. We also want to hopefully have these decisions early in the piece, so depending on what way the decision goes, that we can actually work with our communities, businesses or anybody else that may need to know early rather than later, right at Christmas time, when things are a lot busier and stressed. I guess the ultimate takeaway message from this is that the reason that we're talking about the boat ramp is because motorised vessels are the highest risk. They pose the highest risk. The science is there to show that boats, and particularly wake boats, are those that spread, humans are the ones that are spreading this around. And at the moment, there is no good way to disinfect or clean motorised vessels. So it gets into the ballast and you can't effectively clean the ballast. Biosecurity New Zealand is looking at different methods, but that science is some time away. So we're talking about the now and wanting to make decisions now that hopefully gives us time for some of the science and for some of these other things to come into play. And KDC, you have the statutory powers to close the boat ramp. So people using Tāwhiroa in particular should not be launching vessels from anywhere else other than the boat ramp. So it provides a really nice, tidy mechanism to control the movement of powered vessels. NRC would be supporting the council if that decision was made in terms of compliance or communications or anything like that. We have that funding that is built into the next 2 financial years. So really wanting to work through this issue with council. As I think was mentioned before, we have worked with the Tahoeroa Domain Governance Committee and they are supportive, and we can of course go back through that process if that's right. I just want to remind council of some of the impacts. So this photo is of some of the intake pipes. That photo particularly was from Spain. I wasn't able to get in time photos from Mercury Energy. So Mercury Energy in the Waikato has had to refurbish a pump 3 times already. And if you think we've been dealing with this for 2 years, we're talking multi-millions of dollars now that Mercury Energy is spending on refurbishing their equipment. Genesis Energy is now also finding clams. They're a little bit further away from the infection site, but they are also finding now clams in their intake pipe and particularly their cooling systems, which is a massive problem because if their cooling systems go, the whole plant basically blows up. So we're not talking just about the impacts on the environment, which is extensive. So it will outcompete our native shellfish and our native compete for food with our native species. These things basically are like rabbits of the freshwater. Really, these things, 400 babies a day. Each individual clam can have 400 babies a day, so sort of 70,000 a year. They're hermaphroditic, so by that they can self-fertilize. So you just need 1 clam, you don't need many. And they breed and breed and breed and breed, cover the bottom, block up waterways, block up irrigation systems, outcompete our native species, and then they might have a mass die-off, which then raises the nitrogen levels of the lake, and you have this horrible cyclic system start to happen. And if it gets into the lake, you know, somewhere like Tahoeroa, we're not just talking about Tahoeroa. People move and use this lake all the time. So they might go into the waterway and then wash their boat at home. And then it gets into our wastewater network or our other irrigation networks or all of these other things. So we're not actually just talking about protecting Tahoeroa here, we're talking about protecting all of Northland. It's just that Tahoeroa, as our biggest recreational lake, is one of our biggest risk areas that we've identified. I sort of come over that. The lake is, as you know, is incredibly popular with visitors. This year, we did see a reduced number of individuals bringing boats, but the campground was still completely chocker till after Christmas. But, you know, people do like to use powered vessels on the lake. So that 58% is not just wake boats, it's sort of jet skis and all those sort of powered craft that come onto the lake. The thing about this species is once it's here, we can't get rid of it. There are no practical tools at the moment to get rid of it. And any tools that we do have are just like using a blunt hammer for a sharp instrument. You can possibly look at benthic matting, but that's not going to get rid of it. It just potentially suppresses the population. And then you've got all the other sort of, you know, socio-economic and cultural impacts that comes with having an invasive species disrupt these lake systems. And these lake systems are already under pressure with climate change and everything else that is happening at the moment. We don't need to add one more thing into the mix. So really, we're here today to speak to you, to answer any questions, but we really want to work with you to look at closing the boat ramp. We're focusing on the boat ramp because that's our highest risk pathway. We can look at other options along the way. We're sort of taking, I think if you've read the paper, and I'm going to take the paper as read, that we're looking at a sort of phased approach to managing risk. And this is sort of like an immediate option and action that we can take and while we put these other longer term sort of regulations or possible regulations in play.
Okay, any questions? Are we ready for questions or there's some more presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, councillor Nair, councillor, do you have a question? Councillor Williams, councillor Lambeth?
Thank you. So I am on the committee, obviously, it hasn't come to, but we have been in touch on this issue. And my question is obviously, NRC and KDC agreed that you will have some educational program which went very well. So have you actually discovered anything which warranted an immediate closure? What is the driver? Why you have come up with this option now?
Because, I mean, really, it's about trying to manage risks. Those powered vessels are our biggest risk, and we don't have good options to manage that risk. We don't have good options to clean it. We can talk to our visitors and encourage education, but there's no guarantees that anybody is actually going to do that. We all know people are people and they're valuable and humans, and they don't always, they can tell us when they come to the checkpoint, we've cleaned our boat and we haven't been in the Waikato.
Through the chair, just a supplementary. So, I mean, there is no driver. Just because we can't manage it, we say we close it. What are the effects, the negative effect of closure of boat ramp? We'll have no boat racing. What are the activities which are going to be out of Kai Iwi Lakes?
So it would be powered vessels. I mean,
So all the surf club or whatever, the training and everything will not be possible anymore?
so waka ama and some of those other activities that occur will still be able to occur at the lake. We're just talking about powered vessels at the moment.
So you don't know what is the effect of those closure on the visitors coming too? Because most of the visitors that you said are coming from Auckland and all. Waikato, there is hardly anyone, and which brings gold clam. I don't understand what is the driver for this sudden action after the education. So I'm confused.
Because we do know that visitors are coming from Auckland and from the Waikato. So it's about eliminating that risk.
So we have to eliminate that risk if we have any chance. We cannot print this thing. We have to keep it out. The only way to keep it out is you've got to stop it no matter what's going on. We can decontaminate kayaks. We can contaminate waka ama. Have that all small cup. We just physically can't get into it. People don't always tell you where they've been. I mean, it's about as serious as it gets in terms of impacts when it gets here. And the other question I think the first question, what is the driver? What is the driver? The driver is protecting all of Northland, all of it. Easily the number one vector for passage of this organism into Northland is lake. We've identified that as the greatest pinch point, greatest threat vector.
So you're saying the other councils have done it already? Auckland Council has done the same thing? Why, Waikato and so many councils come in between. Have they taken action, drastic action like that?
Well, we know that Water Care Services is taking drastic action. They're spending a hell of a lot of money trying to clean their intakes, but they take water out of the Waikato. I think it's about 12 or 50% of the total water use of the Waikato, and that's costing them millions. So, so what we're trying to do is preempt us having to take this kind of action, because God knows what the actions would be, what the cost would be to farmers who are taking water out of the Kaihu, taking water out of anywhere else for irrigation or for all their uses. I mean, Jeff was saying, it got out of Taharoa, it's only a matter of time before it gets everywhere. And Kaihu's a good example you keep in mind. So I'm saying is, it's very difficult to answer your question in terms of what are the actual physical impacts. We know that economically, yes, there will be some impact on uses, but the camp will still full anyway. So we're reasonably confident that the economic impact to the area will be low. But what will be the economic impact if it arrives? What will happen is, if it arrives there, MPI put a can in there and nobody will be able to do anything there. So this is just an insurance policy that we're asking from you in the interim until we get our regional pest management plan.
Councillor Williams?
Yeah, I guess mine was along the timeline. So if we get to the medium to long term and we have long-term approach beyond 2 years, where I'm going with this is this going to be a permanent, are we agreeing, could be agreeing to a permanent closure for motorised craft forever? Or do you realistically think that there will be intermediary things that will come about in time that will prevent it from going around the lakes? Or is this just going to have to be a that's it forever scenario? I mean, if we're honest about it, is that where it would be heading?
Question for you, Dawn?
Through you, we think that at this stage, there is no tool to combat this gold clam. So we couldn't say how that would change into the future. Perhaps there is some solution to this and that these sorts of decisions could be revisited. But at this point, we're trying to buy ourselves some time. We're trying to be ahead of the game, and there is no other solution than removing that risk for as long as possible. But I appreciate the question that you're asking. Perhaps in 5 years' time, there might be a solution that takes away all risk, and these restrictions could be lifted. But at this stage, no. So,
Councillor Lambeth?
Yeah, I've got a number of questions here. Just to confirm, it's freshwater only?
It's freshwater and also what's called brackish water, so slightly salty water. So in estuarine habitats, it can also live.
So that's getting right down into the bottom extents of the Waikato River now, is it?
It's considered infected right from Bob's Landing up at the top of Karapiro, right down to the mouth of the Waikato River. Yeah.
So it hasn't got up into Lake Taupo. Has Lake Taupo put a restriction on motorboats?
At the moment, Taupo hasn't restricted motorised craft. It hasn't been detected in
Why not?
Taupo, but it has been Rotorua. They have closed some of their lakes.
Only some of their lakes? So why haven't these other in the Lakes District down in the central North Island doing exactly the same as what you've done?
Because at the time, Biosecurity New Zealand was responsible for the response, and so because it's not in our regional pest management plans at this stage, we don't have the legal authority to put in restrictions at the moment. That is something that we're looking at, and actually that's something that all of the top of the north regions are looking at, is including it into their regional pest management plans so that they can take actions like closing down areas.
So they have post.
How long this, how extensive the spread is, because we first heard of this well over a year ago now, and what has the modelling shown? Has that increased? And have you got any evidence or presentation on that? Can we get any of that on how quickly it's increasing? The other question I want to ask is, where has it come from and what are those countries doing? Have they completely closed down all their freshwater outlets, or where does it come from? We need some more information.
So the one in the Waikato River, that's hard to know exactly because it's actually spread right across from North America into Europe, out down into South America. So where it came from, it originates from Southeast Asia. That's where its home is, but this species has spread right across freshwater areas, and the countries, so say Ireland, they originally started putting in restrictions and then they chose to go to an education only approach, and it basically spread throughout their waterways.
So where it's all spread through, if you're describing how devastating it is, has it closed down freshwater systems all over the place? Are we getting a total breakdown in freshwater systems and everything around the world?
I think the freshwater system stays there, but it is radically changed. So gold clams survive in freshwater. So those systems, they create their own system. They're in what they call an ecosystem changer. So nothing there is natural in those waterways anymore. And in addition to that, their systems were taking water from those systems. They're corrupted Ireland, and it's a good Google, you'll see on there the kinds of pumps that are wrecked, the millions that are being spent there by energy companies. The same is happening here in the Waikato now as we speak. Those companies that Nikki referred to are our New Zealand's largest electricity companies. They're feeling the pinch. Their costs are expected to ramp up into the tens of millions as Gold Clam passes their first and second protection borders, which it has, and moves to the SIVs, which are several $1 million a piece. When it gets to there, they're in for it. Open the checkbook. So we're trying to get ahead of that game here and just buying ourselves some time, because we know, and we've been 40 years in the business of this biosecurity, or at least I have, it seems older, but no, I think it's 40 years, that Gold Clam keeps shooting off these bullets. We don't know yet whether it's just outside the Waikato River. It probably is, but it just hasn't been detected. We wouldn't know if it landed in Northland tomorrow until that farmer said, "Why are my pumps all filled with this stuff? Let's chuck that away." So we've got this chance just to get ahead of the game,
And you firmly believe that this will stop it, or in 20 years' time, do you think it's going to be everywhere?
I think in 20 years' time, it'll be more than the Waikato River. I think if the council chose to make this decision, it will definitely, most definitely buy us time. And as our councillor pointed out over here, buying time is everything, because in 5 years' time, perhaps we get a better solution to this.
The costing of this, you say that you'll look after the costing of the enforcement and education and all that associated with it, is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you not, as a regional council, have authority to go beyond, over the top of us and do this anyway?
No, not at the moment. No. So that's why.
If it's as much as a biosecurity threat as you say it is, I'm sure you've got the powers, have you not?
Yeah, good question.
Both do have.
It's going to take us 18 months to get our new regional pest management plan out, because we've got to consult on it, we've got to bring everything in here, because our regional pest management plan's got 600 organisms in it, everything from dairy, possums through to weeds and everything else. So we can't, it's going to take us that time. And also,
Does that give you the legislation? Is that the only way you can give the legislation by their plan?
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
MPI has emergency powers, but they've declined to use them most of the time.
Why is that?
It's a can, but there again, it's probably, how long are they going to take? 6 or 8 months?
Yeah.
8 months. That's why we're here today. We're asking for you some help to get us to that line, just to get us to when we adopt our RPMP. And probably.
Can I socialise a couple of questions? So it's not just lake boats, it can be kayaks, it can be jet skis. Are jet skis on the lake at all?
They've been banned with the ramp closure.
It can be any watercraft, essentially, that particularly
Powered vessels.
one that holds water in the bilge. Now, you're talking about a management plan that may stay a management plan forever, really. That's what you're talking about here, because the threat's that grave. Have you considered, like, if you go to Paihia, you go to Taupo, you go to any waterfront situation in Auckland, you can hire a boat. You know, you can hire a kayak. Could we potentially do that at the lake, so that only boats that get hired? Sorry?
Yes,
100%.
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
And then it's a win-win, because you can have private operators hiring the boats, or even the council's campground.
Thank you, Craig. That's a fantastic question. And the answer is, why not? Because the regional pest management plan allows for exemptions for lots of things. I used to be the biosecurity manager for Auckland for 11 years. I wrote out 40 or 50 exemptions for this kind of thing. And like, you'd have to be a person who is based there, has a craft there, they've got no one there.
I've actually put some thought into this, and in terms of the iwi buying some craft that is then in partnership with the council, you're looking at $250 an hour for jet skis and stuff. That's a way to have another income stream coming in, and then, you know, reinvesting that back into the lakes, upgrades and things, because that would 24 hours is the time it takes for them to die, even if they were contaminated. So if you have these ones that never leave the lake, then, and are stored at the lake, then
How long do you think it has? I mean, it's a great answer. great question, and great answer. But how long have we got? I mean, can you get that tomorrow? No. We'll ask.
You can't, it's just, I'm just forward thinking here. Do you have a question, councillor No?
Yeah, I just,
No, I was.
No, you have a next question, councillor No?
no, I just, I was looking at the MPA website. And they, on the top of it is, they say Biosecurity New Zealand has been working in partnership and all. Legal controls are in place to contain the clams and prevent spread. Extensive surveillance of river and lake in the Waikato Bay of Plenty as well as nationally has shown no indication of freshwater clams outside the two known locations. So why we are creating this kind of,
Okay, so what I wanted to say is that this is something that's very dear to my heart. In fact, I've worked with NRC over the summer to volunteer one of my summer hours to being up at the boat ramp and putting in hours to help clean the boats. There's many risks around that. If it's severe winds, then we can't work. After 5 o'clock, everyone knocks off. Whatever boats come in are not checked. And water restrictions, right around that time we have the droughts, the water restrictions where we're barely able to even wash boats. We had to pick and choose. A lot of the boats that were coming in, there was a lot of kayaks coming in, there was non-motorised boats coming in that are fine and can still be washed down. The camping ground was full the whole entire time, and we've actually had issues around having to get more toilets in because we're breaching the regulations because we don't have enough toilets for campers. The camping grounds are booked out within, what did I hear, 48 hours of them going up online. We're not going to lose campers to the boats. We have commercial possibilities to have a different way of getting boat users on the lake. Now, I want to talk about the Lake Waikato and Lake Taharoa. Taharoa is the bigger, larger lake. That is the one that takes a lot more of the water for the toilets. It has the boats coming in and out. Most of the swimmers are there. Then you have Lake Waikato, which has not had powered boats for many years. The water quality is amazing. The wildlife, we've got bird life over there. You've got dragonflies. You've got all of the fish. The water levels are really good. You come to Taharoa, clarity is bad, water levels are bad, there's not very much wildlife. And then the final point that I wanted to make was the sandbar, because we had the big stormy weather. We actually had a huge shift to the sandbar to the extent that you now are better off swimming on the left-hand side of the lake because it goes right, there's shallow water right out probably, 100 metres. So historically where you would swim is no longer viable because it drops off and it's not good for all the little ones. So the families take them over to where the sandbar has been redistributed. That there under the reserve management plan with the boats is where boats are allowed to be high powered, and because we've had maps where they're only allowed to go 30 knots directly in front, but now it's all changed, and I witnessed many times boat users and littlies and families intercepting with one another. We actually have to, under that clause, probably close off powered boats until such time as we have our health and safety up to the current landscape of the lakes that's changed, because we've got boat users and it's just a matter of time before there's a strike. And we were really lucky over the summer. I don't know if we've got updated pictures, but it's probably something that we really need to have a look at changing, where the boaties are allowed to be, because it's directly by the boat ramp. Sorry, final point that I wanted to make, every single boat that goes into offloads its boat actually puts its whole vehicle in. So if we have 30, some days we have 30 boats, we're not even counting the jet skis. They drive their entire car, because most of them are lazy, right into the water. So we're allowing not just a boat, but a car with all of its oil, all of its contaminants into the lake every time we let a boat in.
Okay,
And
thank you.
that's
You want to say something, Jack?
Oh, I think Ash raised a really good question, looking at the MPI's website about it, but they say they've done this and done that. They haven't spent a penny in North on this, haven't spent a penny. Don,
No, so if if a region puts up its hand to do some extra protection with these MPI haven't got the funding to go and assist them. They are focused on the work, but it is education. And so we would be left alone as a collective. But unfortunately, our council has promoted this and discussed this and fought it in our long-term plan funding for education, funding for compliance, and working with local communities to, do this compliance if indeed it was brought in. And I think that if council decided to do something like this in partnership with us, that's a massive leverage when we're going back to the Crown and saying, hey, we need government assistance with this. We've been working together with this since before it escaped from your clutches, because they do have this responsibility. But in fact, regions are left quite alone with this. And that's the case for a lot of biosecurity incursions in this country and program. There you have it. Be in a strong position. We join together on this project now.
Councillor Williams?
Just another question. So just looking at the time frame, I just wondered, is there actually necessity to consult with our ratepayers before a decision like this is made? I'm just wondering what the
No,
process is.
as I understand it, the bylaw's already in place.
So we wouldn't have to consult.
No, it's just ready to be actioned.
And the other thing is there's only a couple of locals that actually bring their boats in. That's the other thing, most of them are out of town, most over 90%.
Talking to Rose Coles, who's one of the original owners of the farms brought in by that survey. Snagging it off the shelf, straight off the Murray Beach. Yes, that no boat should be allowed there. They've used their boat and we can't put it at that stage at this point. I don't criticise regional council today. I'd criticise them that it wouldn't get last year, which we should have been. You know, and that we should be there today. Might be 2 years time before we can pick up on it. So if we move quickly, we can. Don't forget, you've got one of the big pumps in your town water supply coming out the Kai Iwi. It's going to affect you greatly. But imagine all those farmers with this pumps. It's going to be.
Oh yeah, it's literally a hop, a skip and a jump into the Kai Iwi.
And the native fish shelf is going to push out. That's another argument again. So I think this is a really low cost thing we're doing here today to mitigate this. Imagine what New Zealand started to try and keep it out. We have things in place that if it did come to the country, we can get rid of it possibly. This we can't. So this is kind of mitigation. I think you should.
Look, I think we've got the message loud and clear. So any other questions before I'm going to hand it over to CEO Maris to perhaps suggest a way forward here?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy days. So we do obviously have to respect the Tahoe Domain Governance Committee here first. So I know you've been through this process before, but I believe you'd have to report through to the committee, and then committee would have to provide direction to council, and then council will need to make a decision.
So the Tahoe committee did vote to remove votes.
And then council decline.
Yeah. So
What I suggest is that maybe you call an extraordinary meeting for that. Is that possible?
I just want to clarify the time frame. So you're talking about Labor Day, right? Which is Labor Week in October. So I don't think we need an extraordinary meeting, Mr. Mayor. The next meeting is March.
Just a minute, please. Can you be quiet, please? I'm just working through this.
We are working through what they requested, right? So what I'm saying is we don't need to do it urgently. We don't need an extraordinary meeting. However, the next Tahoe Domain Governance Committee is at the end of March. That far away. So, and I do believe you need to, even despite the governance committee giving that direction before, the situation has moved. There is more information available, and I think you need to report to the governance committee first, get that direction, and then that will then come through to council, whatever's recommended at that committee for a decision.
So what is the date that we open bookings for the summer? We want to make sure that those that know July, the
But that gives us time, and let's be honest, if the council makes a decision in the affirmative to close the boat ramp, there needs to be a strong communication around that, so we need enough time to be able to enact that and make sure that everybody understands what the story is, especially campers who come up regularly with their boats as well, all of that stuff.
We should probably get some of.
Can you put your hand up when you want to speak, please? I've got a meeting to run here. Councillor Lambert first.
My suggestion is that prior to those bookings, we start that education
Yeah.
program that you're talking about. So that people do book, then they know that there's a possibility they will be camping there without their boat. Sorry,
We're already doing and have been doing for the last 2 summers.
don't worry about me talking.
So so we can. Okay, so be nice and calm. So yeah, thank you. We are talking about it now. But you're right, we need a decision first. We're doing the massaging communication now, and then once we get it, we can make sure we're, depending on what the decision is, very strong in our communication for all the future campers.
So what I was going to say, sorry, before, was that we had one of the local security guards over the summer, because I was out there almost all of the summer taking everyone on rides. Now, if we can have something up and running by then, so that when we say, hey, we're shutting the boat ramp, however, we have this service that we're providing at X amount. So someone was already doing that out there. Maybe that's something that we can collaborate on. Other funds who might also want to.
I think that's something for further discussion, sure. Okay, yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just like to offer up that we'd, like to work with your staff to help promote the education or awareness that you think is appropriate. And also, just so that we are clear, we're going to the Taharoa Governance Committee with those recommendations, and that is satisfactory to.
That is up to you. That's not up to us to determine that. And then it's up to the governance committee to recommend to council the path forward, and the actual council make a decision. So you do you, and we'll see how we go.
So we're going to steer from you before we go to them. We'd like to be holding hands. And what's the likelihood?
Well, you haven't got the whole council here either, and so we can't give you that.
So your next meeting is?
Last Wednesday of every month. So obviously Steph won, Taharoa Domain Governance Committee, report to that one in March, and then the next council meeting after that, whatever is recommended.
Okay, that's fine.
For decision, right? And that should give us plenty of time to adjust what we need to do if decision made in the affirmative.
John, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I think councillor Lambert is on the right path as me, because if I was a camper there, I probably want to know. We know this gold clam is on the menu, we can wash our boats. But I would also want to know if there's a chance it's going to be closed before July. Because I might make reservations somewhere else and you want camping ground for next year, I presume, from a financial point of view. So the sooner they know that the possibility, the process is still.
Yeah, well, no, that's just the reality of the process, right? That's a decision-making process. So if you go to the TCDG in March, it could equally be straight to council in March or April. You've still got time to communicate straight away. We're not going to sit there and wait till 1st of July. We are going to communicate ahead of that, obviously with all our repeat customers, because a lot of them are repeat customers that come up every year. And it's really important we look after them and tell them.
Okay, anything else, councillor Lambert?
Can I just suggest that you come with a little bit more factual information, particularly the spread, how quickly it's going, and give us all the facts, not just a full paid presentation. I need to know exactly what we're dealing with, how quickly it's spreading. These other countries that we talk about, we shouldn't have to be probing for these questions. We should be all presented to us. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I think we probably covered all we need to cover. I think we obviously need to check several, but thank you for your question. I think you've given us a lot of really good things to think about, all of you. But I think, just my opinion, I think Craig's given us a way forward with and Perry also with the commercial opportunities of having people right there that you can hire right here. I don't see anything good idea and a good business opportunity in that space. That's just my thought.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else you'd like to finish off with, guys? People?
No, just
Okay, thanks for your presentation. It was good and vigorous.
Thanks for coming down to Mangawhai.
Thank you.
Go and have a beer at the pub, and if I can get out of here, I'll come and have one with you.
Extra break. Sorry, I didn't say it before. But thank God.
Thank you.
Good luck. Going to do the final item?
Yes, Mr Mayor, so we're just going to give us a couple of minutes to do the last item. We're going to move back into public excluded. So this concludes the open briefing for today, if anybody is online. So thank you very much. And we'll close that and we'll.
But live streaming it.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so it's recorded.
Can I ask just, how come this item came?
None of this open.
How come this item